Hi, second graders. Our math lesson for today is the Chapter 12 review, which starts on page 789. The first part of our review is a vocabulary check. So for number 1, you need to draw a hexagon. For number 2, you're going to draw a quadrilateral, and there's a couple different shapes that you can draw as a quadrilateral. For numbers 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, you're going to match each word to the correct shape. So I want you to pause the video right now and do those on your own. And once you're done with those, play the video and we'll go over them together. Okay, so hopefully you've had a chance to do numbers 1 through 8 on page 789. So now we're going to go over those together. Our first problem is number 1, and we need to draw a hexagon. So you might remember that a hexagon is a two-dimensional shape that has 6 sides. So we have 1 side, 2 sides, 3 sides, 4, 5, and 6. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but you do have to notice that it has 6 different sides. One example of a hexagon that you might already know is a stop sign. Now for number 2, we need to draw a quadrilateral. A quadrilateral is a shape that has 4 sides and 4 angles. So there's a couple different types of quadrilaterals you could draw. One is a square. Another is a rectangle. Or a parallelogram is a quadrilateral. So those are some examples that you might have drawn as a quadrilateral. Let's move on to number 3. Match each word to the correct shape. So for number 3, our shape is a cone. And a cone is a 3-dimensional or 3D shape that narrows to a point from a circular face. So our cone should go over here to this blue shape. Number 4 is a pyramid, and a pyramid is a 3-dimensional shape with a polygon at its base and other faces that are triangles. So it should go down here to that red shape. For number 5, we have a sphere. A sphere is a 3-dimensional shape that has the shape of a round ball. So that's hopefully a shape that you're all familiar with. Number 6 is a cube. A cube is a 3-dimensional shape with 6 square faces. So all of the sides of a cube are square. Number 7, we have a cylinder. A cylinder is a 3-dimensional shape that is shaped like a can. So that should go down there to the very last shape. And number 8, our last one, is a rectangular prism. And a rectangular prism is a 3-dimensional shape with 6 faces that are rectangles. So hopefully you were able to get all of those right on the first page, but if not, that's okay. Everybody makes mistakes, just correct your answers, and let's move on to page 790. Okay, so on page 790, I want you to do numbers 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14 on your own. So pause this video, and then once you're done, play the video, and we'll go over them together. Okay, so hopefully you've had a chance to do all of the problems on page 790, so now we can go over them together. For numbers 9 and 10, we need to circle the shapes that match the name. So for number 9, our shape is a rectangle. The first shape that we have here is a triangle, so that's not a rectangle. The second one is a rectangle. The third one is a hexagon, and the last shape is a rectangle. Number 10, we have a pentagon. The first shape is a circle, so I'm going to X that out. The second one is a pentagon. The third one, that one looks familiar, that's a rectangle. And the last one is a pentagon. Alright, now let's move on to numbers 11 and 12. And for these two problems, we need to circle the shape that matches the description. So let's zoom in a little bit so we can see better. For number 11, we need a shape that has 3 sides and 3 angles. So the first shape there is a circle, and I know that a circle doesn't have any sides or any angles, so that can't be it. Our second shape is a triangle, and a triangle has 1, 2, 3 sides. And let's count how many angles. 1, 2, 3, so that must be our answer. But to be sure, you can check the pentagon. But a pentagon has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides, and if you remember our pattern, it'll also have 5 angles. Okay, for number 12, we need a shape that has 6 sides and 6 angles. So let's check our first shape. This shape has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 angles. So we know that that's our answer. Just to be sure, we can check the other 2 shapes. The next one is a pentagon, which has 5 sides. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 angles. And our last shape has 1, 2, 3, 4 sides, and you guessed it, 4 angles. Okay, so now let's move on to number 13. We need to write the name of the shape and color the shapes that match. So the shape that they have given us is a cylinder. And this first shape looks more like a sphere, so we're not going to color that one. The second shape does look like a cylinder, so let's color that in. It doesn't have to be perfect. And the last shape does look like a cylinder. Just turn to the side. Okay, now let's move on to number 14. We need to circle the object that matches the description. And the description is 6 faces, 12 edges, and 8 vertices. So hopefully you looked at those 4 pictures and you determined that the object that matches the description is the shopping bag. Now let's move on to page 791. Now that we're on page 791, I want you to do numbers 15, 16, and 17 on your own. So pause this video and do those. And then once you're done, play the video and we'll go over them together. Okay, so hopefully now you've all had a chance to do the 3 problems on page 791. So now we can go over them together. Number 15. Caden's family is having pizza for dinner. There are 4 people in Caden's family. Draw lines to show how Caden's family should cut the pizza so that everyone gets an equal part. So the first thing that we need to do is to cut our pizza in half. But if we do that, it's only in 2 equal parts. But we need a total of 4 people to get pizza. So we need to split our pizza in half one more time. And now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 different pieces for each person of Caden's family. Now let's move on to number 16. Jamie drew a rectangle. He wants to partition it into equal-sized squares. He starts to partition the rectangle. Finish partitioning his rectangle. Write the total number of squares. Explain your answer to a friend. So maybe if you have someone at home that you can explain this to, go ahead and do that. So Jamie already started it out for us on the top part of his rectangle. It looks like he has it in 5 small sections, 5 squares. So we need to continue those squares. And then count how many squares we have all together. So let's count together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15 squares. Number 17, our last problem for our review. Blake has a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for lunch. He wants to share it with 2 friends. Circle the word that tells how Blake should partition his sandwich. So if Blake wants to share his sandwich with 2 other friends, that means there's a total of 3 people that want to share the same sandwich. So do you think we need to split our sandwich into halves, thirds, fourths, or fifths? Hopefully, since there's 3 people, you said that we should split the sandwich into thirds.